Deputy Attorney.
I'd like to thank all the witnesses for coming in and thanks for letting me come in early. I appreciate that. And I appreciate what you're trying to do for climate change, I really do. At the outset, I'm in the construction trade myself, have been all my life. And when this was launched by and Ryan, when they launched about the SEI grants, to me, the figures were done in October. And they'd done it based on a retrofit of a house that was costing 50,000, and at the time there was a grant of 23,500. Since then, there's been a 38% increase in the materials, also in labour, which means that the grant is now down to 2,500 worth. If you go back to the €50,000 grant, which was first launched. So in other words, the grant has been absorbed in increase in materials and an increase in labour costs. So the cost goes back to the homeowner again. Where I'm coming from is most of the retrofits that are being done within the city bases, and they're not being done in the county bases. And it comes down to labour, it comes down to numbers, it comes down to business. If I can get 10 houses in a row, it's viable for me to go in and do 10 houses in a row, and it becomes a business, which is down to business, which people are entitled to do. But when you go to a one-off retrofit house, that becomes a problem, because then you have transport costs and labour costs and getting your labour there. So it's actually more costly to retrofit a house in the countryside. Also, within the existing planning permission at the moment, you are to put in one heat energy source, such as solar panels or a heat pump. One is all you are required to put in. That's changing. I do know that, but that's what's changing. But what I'm coming to is, I want people to change for better heated homes, but I also want to make it affordable. And at the moment, and I said I'm in construction myself, the workforces are not there. I asked Minister Norman Foley to introduce for early leavers, which would actually help this, people that want to leave school early, that academically want to leave school, that this can be introduced on at fifth year or in a TY, that if they do the fifth and sixth year, and even if they do leave and cert applied, that they base 1 year of their apprenticeship into the fifth and sixth year, which allows them that they're on the ladder before they leave school. It encourages the students to stay in school, to get a basic education, but also gives them the skills that they need to, when they leave school, they've already started, which will also help the retrofitting of houses going forward. Also, every house that gets retrofitted, so if I go for a retrofit and I want to upgrade my windows, if I want to upgrade the insulation, there's a preliminary cost. When you go through SEI, there's a preliminary cost. Some contractors are coming out and putting in the preliminary cost on each item that they price. It's not based on the whole house. So if you bring me out and you want to retrofit my house and you say I want external insulation, there's a preliminary cost involved with the external insulation, which is a base cost on SEI. Then if you come back and say, listen to me, I'm going to do the attic now as well, they come back with a preliminary cost for that as well. There should be only one preliminary cost for the whole house. Otherwise, all the funding goes into preliminary costs. So what we need to do is sell a package. If we can sell a package with one preliminary cost, that means we can actually get the houses done cheaper. Because preliminary startup costs in any building means that that's your insurances, your scaffolding, whatever you need. So if we can give a package where people can get to a phase where they can actually do the whole retrofit with one preliminary cost, that will actually pay for one part of the house that will be net up in fees. And that's what we need to look at. But there is companies out there at the moment, and that's what they're doing. They're doing one thing at a time and telling people, do one now, we'll get away with this, and this will help you on your way. The encouragement should be to get as much done as we can with one preliminary cost. And that's one thing that I want to address, because I've seen it everywhere. For the amount of people that for BIRs, I have a lot of people that actually have trained up for a BIR, and I know in the companies they have been given a rate that they could actually train up people under the BIRs, which is a good way of doing it, and it helps upskill people, and especially younger people picked up that they came out of college. They want to do it, they've picked up on it, and it's a good way forward. Main thing we want here is to get people to upgrade the energy in their houses. At the moment, there's still grants available for oil burners through SEI grants, which I welcome, because if you have an old burner that's not burning efficiently, until you can get your house retrofitted, at least you have some form of retrofitting your house and bringing down the emissions within your house. But just from the point of view of total tonnes of CO2 equivalent emissions per dwelling over 10 years, kerosene is 68 tonnes. Air source heat pump is 53 tonne. Wood pellets is 15 tonne. And bioliquid blend is 52 tonnes. Bioliquid blend B50K is 40 tonnes. And pure bioliquid is 10 tonnes. So these are figures that are actually, I have actually a full document here myself on different energy ratings, what we can do to improve houses even if they're on different systems. And my last point I'm going to make to you is, outside of the city areas again, we have a big ESB problem, because we don't always have, we get knocked out maybe 2 or 3 times a year. So if you don't have ESB and you're completely reliant on heat pumps, how do you heat your house? If you're completely reliant on heat pumps and on electricity type solar, something has to run the pumps. So how do we address that going forward?
Thank you, Deputy O'Donoghue. There's 28 seconds left on that slot, which I don't think is sufficient time to answer those questions, but I think the Deputy does raise some very pertinent observations in relation to the costs of one-off housing and the impacts it can have on infrastructure and transport, etc. But we might get to answer those questions a couple of seconds there, if anybody wishes to comment on it. I don't think we're going to have time, to be honest.
Sorry, Chair, you left Joe Flaherty go over by about 2 minutes. I would have, if they could have 1 minute. If they could have 1 minute, please, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, but could I just point out to members, if you do speak for 6.5 minutes, you're only going to leave 30 seconds.
I won't be here for the second slot.
Witnesses, I think.
I won't be here for the second slot, so that saves your time back.
Well, it's the independent second slot, it's not your second slot.
It is mine, actually.
Yeah.
Okay. Both of my mine.
Thank you. If you want to, I'll allow a minute there, please. Thank you.
Thank you. There's some very interesting points there. Just to rapid fire go through a few of them, and then we can talk again another time if you like. Just about the grants no longer matching the costs and the cost of heating systems. I think one of the really important initiatives that was introduced in the range of measures that were brought in February were about closing the gap between the oil boiler and the heat pump, to try and really not have people be able to use that as an excuse as much as anything else. We want to be able to convince them that this is the right technology for them, but also make it affordable for them. So in terms of the grants for the people the partial grants, that gap has been narrowed. The workforce and training, that really is going to be an absolutely huge challenge, and it's a quite creative solution that you've put forward in terms of the school leavers. I know this is a very important issue for Minister Harris at the moment as well, in terms of giving people the options, school leavers the options, and people later on in their career the options, in terms of it's not just all about college. And I think one of the important initiatives there was, when you go to your CAO website now, it's letting you know about the types of options in terms of apprenticeships. And just to give some specific numbers on the training places that our colleagues in the Department of Further and Higher Education are putting on this year, as my colleague Kieran Byrne mentioned earlier on, there's 17 million euros under the Green Skills Action Programme. And that'll double the places in upskilling and reskilling to 4,500. There was some very positive news on apprenticeships as well last year. I think it was probably
if you could just touch on the preliminary costs, I'd appreciate it.
The preliminary cost, I think doing it as a whole house upgrade is something that we're really pushing. That's the whole idea of the one-stop shop scheme. So that will stop that kind of recurring preliminary cost type issue. But at the same time, we wanted to make sure that people who couldn't do it all in one go have the option to do it in a step-by-step manner. So it is obviously more cost-effective to do it all in one go, but the affordability issue that has been mentioned already by Deputy Flaherty will be an impediment for some people doing it all in one go. So we want to give, one of the principles of the National Retrofit Plan is universality. We want to have a solution for every customer cohort, consumer cohort, and homeowner type. For that reason, we're still allowing both, but there absolutely is an option there for a one-stop shop to come in, do the whole house all in one go, project manage from end to end and ensure quality, and take you through the grant and administration process.
Thanks, Mr. Deegan. I'm going to have to interrupt you there now. Thank you.